Welcome back. Stasa23 here, back again with some knife therapy. And first off, I would like to say thank you to Zelric here on YouTube for setting up a pass around with two Bestech knives, so I could have a chance to check what they have out, especially the higher end, being that I've never checked out any of their S35VN titanium frame lock models. So go check Zelric's channel out if you're not already subscribed to him. Awesome content. Also, he's on Instagram at Zelric42. And also, guys, I'm just getting back into the swing of things. I just want to say thank you to all my subscribers and all my friends out there who checked on me after I had my surgery and gave me all the good wishes and said a lot of kind words. Our community's awesome. Y'all are just unbelievable. So I'm gonna be a little rusty, but I'm getting back into it, and here we go. We're going to start out with this Bestech Knives BT1706B, the Predator. Some quick specs on this guy. You have an overall length of 8 1/4 inches. You have a handle length of 4 3/4 inches. And something that a subscriber asked me to do, the actual grip area from here to here is approximately 3 7/8 inches long. You have a handle thickness of 0.58 inches, and you have a cutting length from here to here of 3 3/4 inches. So what you have here is you have an interesting Tonto blade. I'm not a Tonto guy, but after using this one, I can definitely appreciate the utility of this blade. It's kind of got almost like a harpoonish, where it swoops up right here, and what that does, it also gives you a little bit of belly. Let's see if I can show it to you on here. You can see you got that contacting, and you can actually roll it, and makes it a lot nicer when you're cutting on flatter surfaces. You got a nice thickness to this blade stock. This knife is going to be more geared toward your, working man, harder use. You got a reinforced tip in that Tonto area. You got a thicker blade stock. You got a thicker geometry to, aid in those tougher cutting tasks, so you don't chip or crack or roll your edges easily. Let's see. On the front of the blade, your billboarding, you got the new Bestech logo right here, Bestech knives here. You have a fuller or blood groove on both sides of the knife. You got Predator, the name of the knife, written on here, and the blade steel CPM S35VN, which is definitely good to go in my books. It's kind of interesting the way they did these swedges up here. They look rather nice. I'm definitely a swedge fan. I think it just adds extra character to the blade. You can see they've done some nice beveling throughout the whole entire top of the blade. I like how they put the first production on the top right here. It's very tasteful. You have some jimping right here that's it's more aesthetic. It sits flush with the titanium, so you really don't get much of grip right there, which is not that big of a deal. You have a bead blast finish on the S35VN steel. You have a sharpening choil. We'll get back to that later. And like I said, nice point for piercing. You have another point right here, so you have two edges. That's one of the good qualities of a Tonto, if that's your thing. Go back into the handle. You have, like I said, a titanium frame lock. You show side. You have satin finished carbon fiber inlay, which is done rather nicely. No voids whatsoever that I could see. And I like whenever they do it in a satin finish because it gives a little bit of grip. You have a pivot that takes a flat head, or I'm sure, whatever coins that you have in your area, I'm sure a nickel or a dime or something would fit in there. Then you have like a pivot ring that's like a bronze gold anodizing. You got some some nice rounding contouring on the scales. You got basic construction right here, titanium back spacer, and I like how they incorporated the lanyard pin in the back so it doesn't take away from the design. You don't have any hole in your knife. I think that's nice the way they do that. On this side, you have the same carbon fiber here, milled titanium pocket clip that has tons of spring, easy to get in and out of the pocket. Flipper tab is done very nicely on this one. As you can see, you got the way it's shaped in the front for the light switch. Easy to disengage. I mean, easy to shoot it out. And then, as you can see on the top of that, you have a flat portion if you want to do a light switch. Both methods work just as good. Of course, most of the time, push button when you're loading up on that flipper tab. Comes out a little bit harder, but not that much of a difference here. Let's get some quick size comparisons out of the way. Let's see. First up, I got the steel wheel cut jack, 3.5 inch. And these two are pretty similar in size. The cut jack's a little bit shorter in blade. What else do I have? The Boker Lateralis, which is a little bit longer in the blade, not by much. These two are very close in size. Let's see what else I have. The Kaiser Wanderer. The Wanderer is a little bit smaller, and the last one I have is the Chris Reeve knives, large and Cosi. These two are almost identical in size, if not identical. It's kind of hard to tell. What looks like the Incosi is just a tad bit smaller, not by much. Let's get a quick weight on this guy. I will say they've done a good job of executing. I don't know if I better show you this, but there's milled pockets on both sides. Like you can see that lip in the back side right here. They've milled out a complete section on both sides of the knife, which is very nice. I love seeing that. You know, that just means they took that extra effort and lightened this knife up as much as possible. Let's see, at the 8 1/4 inches, let's see what weight we get here. If my scale wants to work. Let's see, unit. Let's check it out. 4.03 ounces, so about 4 ounces. My scale's about 3/10 off. Very nice weight for the size, or at least I think so. Good EDC weight for me. This knife is running on, I think, ceramic bearings and ceramic detent ball. The action is very nice, very drop shut. As you can see, I almost guillotined my finger. Love the action. It's addictive to play with. Also, feature that I love seeing on a knife, especially when it's done right. When you deploy the knife, you can see right here that they milled out a little bitty pocket right there for your pad for your finger to land in, your index finger whenever you're going. And being that the scales are thick enough, it's not sharp on any sides. Sometimes when the scales are too thin, it ends up being a sharp area and uncomfortable, but they did a good job. Let's see. I think I touched on everything. Okay. See, my first Bestech knife was one of the D2 models, and I liked the knife, but I did have some issues with either the heat treating or maybe they over sharpened it and they blew out the edge. I'm not sure, but I had problems with edge holding, and I've heard some other people talk about it. Also have another one on the deck that I like a lot, but I'm having troubles with it as well. But I will say, because of that, I tested this one extensively. I cut tons and tons of cardboard with this thing, shaved a good bit of 2x4, and cut some zip ties, just being that, you know, you have that reinforced tip. And I cut up some plastic bottles with this guy. And one positive I will say is the S35VN held up just as good as any other S35VN that I have. So I can't speak for every one of their models, every one of their knives in S35VN, but this one is good to go. Now I'm gonna talk on some things that for me are just nitpicks, things that I'm not really in love with, And these do not hurt the functionality of this knife. If this knife speaks to you and you like the design cues, and the price, I want to say it's 100. I think they were 100 and something dollars. If that's the case, I think it's a good value, especially like I said, if it's something that speaks to you. But let's get into a few things that I'm not a huge fan of. And one, they missed the mark on their grinds. You can see the grind come down here, right there. And on this side, it actually makes it all the way to the end, which, at this price point, to me, that kind of stuff matters. I mean, because there's so many people, there's so many options out there that you don't have to settle unless it's just a design that you really, really love. And I'm not a fan of bead blasting, even though it's held up nicely, and I haven't had any issues with rust, and we have some nice humid weather down here in Louisiana, so it's okay. This blood groove, I will say, it definitely attracts dirt and gunk way more than any other blood groove I've ever had. I don't know if it's because of the bead blasting, but definitely is a crud catcher. While we're on the blade, I like their logo. I just don't, I think that would have been enough. You could have left the Bestech knives off or taken the logo off, put it somewhere else. I don't think you need both of those on there. But like I said, just a nitpick, nothing major. And the name of the blade. To me, first off, the font is pretty big and looks, I don't know, rather distasteful. And the name Predator, it's almost like, to me, calling it the murder weapon. I know that's a little crazy, but, I don't know. This knife, pulling it out to a non-knife person would already kind of scare them. And they look over and your knife says Predator. Just my 2 cents. Like I said, definitely doesn't hurt the functionality of this blade. Just a gripe. The S35VN, that's done fine. They need to work on, or just a huge nitpick for me, is hitting that, executing that sharpening choil. If you can see, let's see if I can make it focus. That plunge line goes down right to here. So they could have definitely made this a full finger choil right here, and it would have made it a lot easier to sharpen. Zelric sharpened this up, I think, on his, I'm guessing, wicked edge. And as you can see, being that they went this far back, his stones brushed up against the frame on both sides right there. And that could have been, taken care of if they would have brought the sharpening choil where it should have been to about right there. And then you would have had a complete full forward finger choil. Just my 2 cents on that. Another thing that I'm not a huge fan of is the flathead pivot adjustment. I much rather a Torx driver, just because they always get marred up pretty easily, slips off pretty easily. But like I said, it's not hurting anything. One good thing about that is you can use a lot of, coins and stuff like that easier out in the field, I guess you could say. Also, I would have liked to see this flush fit, just because I noticed also, just carrying it in the pocket, it's a huge crud collector right here. You can see all that gunk right there. I'm sure that's from oil coming out right there, and that's just, I don't know, it's not that attractive. Let's see. One other thing I noticed on the back side, being that these are cut kind of thin, there is not sharp, but you definitely feel that. But there's not really a time whenever, in my grip, that I do feel that. While I'm talking about it, talk about the ergonomics. They are awesome, especially in your hammer grip. Good. The pull grip, good. Pinch grip, pencil grip, all the grips, to me, my medium-sized hand, are really good. That's what I like about a nice neutral handle. You don't have any crazy turns or anything like that. They did a good job of executing this right here. You don't have a sharp point. They did a good job of smoothing that out. Let's see. Let me make sure. Okay, let's see what this thing looks like in the pocket real quick, and I'll talk about one more thing and then let y'all go. In your slanted pocket, to me that's perfect. You have just enough to grab that knife, pull it out. It goes in and out of the pocket very easily. And with your flat pocket, even more disappears, and I can easily get my fingers in there to pull it out. Only issue I see with the pocket clip is even though it goes in and out very easily, as you can see, this is very, very thin. And I would be worried that if it caught on my seatbelt or something like that, whoop, that pocket clips can be bent up like that, which titanium has a good spring memory, so you could probably bend it back pretty easily. So not a huge concern. You have good blade to handle ratio, as you can see right here, and it sits nice in the pocket. Especially if you keep a lot of other stuff in your pocket, it's easy to get your hand inside your pocket. The knife kind of cants like that in the pocket. You don't have any issues with your finger getting close to that edge, even though right here it looks like it. I mean, unless I would really have to be digging down hard in there, I can rub my fingers like that and I'm not getting caught by that blade. Let me make sure I see if I touched on everything. So go back over, like I said, got a good action, everything's sound on the knife. Everything functions nicely. The steel is good to go. Like I said, made for a harder use work knife. It's not going to be your high performance. If you're into a slicey knife, this might not be a good option for you. But if you are looking for a good work knife, working construction, or you break down a lot of boxes, a lot of zip ties, something like that, this would be a good choice for you. And like I said, just a few nitpicks that I have. If those things don't bother you and this speaks to you, then I'd say go ahead and pick it up. All right, guys and girls, y'all let me know how I did. Like I said, I'm feeling a little rusty. I really appreciate all y'all comments and concerns and people who actually checked on me. It really meant a lot to me. Hope everybody's having an absolute wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Peace.